Let's make a last selfie with neighbor next to you and start our. Let's move from platform to Congress because we like it to mix things up. So I believe it's time for us to have a serious conversation. So we invited you today for a panel discussion. What we dreamed, what we built, 3 decades of Baltic dance. So as you can see, we already have our moderator of the panel, Vaidas Jauniškis. Hello.
Hi.
And we have our panelists. So I will just say their names briefly. It's Prit Rod and Trinu Aron. Awesome. Inta Balode and Baiba Ozolina. Awesome. And Audronis Imbrasas and Birutė Lietukaitė. Vaidai, it's yours.
Hello, thank you for you coming. It's very nice to see, and I will, according to my scenario, which was different one from the first one, I will introduce you a little bit more, just like Prit Raut, who is representing Kanudi Gildisal in Tallinn. And Kanudi Gildisal is Contemporary Performing Arts Center in Tallinn, and this is a panel of jubilees because it celebrates 25 years anniversary. Another Estonian dance stage, Sõltumatu Tantsulava, which is independent dance stage, performance and development center. It celebrates 20 years anniversary, and it is presented by Trinu Aron. Latvia celebrates 30 years of contemporary dance on Latvian ground in a whole. And here is Latvian represented by Baiba Ozolina, long-standing producer of Party and Lakes Dejot Festival, and Inta Balode from Latvian Dance Information Center. And the same 30 years old is New Baltic Dance Festival, and here is represented by its initiator, Audronis Imbrasas. And Birutė Lietukaitė can boast much more about because she can celebrate all the Kaunas Dance Festival and Dance Theatre Aura. How many years?
It's the test for you.
I hadn't seen dance manual in Lithuania.
This year will be 36 years.
Yeah.
Audroni starts 6 years after our festival, New Baltic Dance.
It's a highlight. Okay. Thank you and welcome to Baltic Dance Congress. And firstly, I would like to ask you, did you have in the very first years of independence, how you remember the very first years? Was it amateur dance scene, which was developed later to contemporary dance scene? How can you describe those 90s, the very first of 90s? Let's take Baiba.
So it's a pity I'm not from that time still, but today I replacing Olga Zhitlukhina, who has, and I have some quotes from her. I don't know. Do we really start with the quotes? Maybe somebody live could tell something.
How do you describe the very first years of independence with your dance company?
Because I not start on 90s. How to do with my poor English and long history? Lithuania dance very quick with poor my English. I am third generation, and it's not start on 90s. It start on 1939. 1939, when one woman, Lithuanian girl, come back from Germany, where she finished graduate Jutta Klemt school, and she back to Kaunas. This time Kaunas was Lithuania capital, and she opened the school. She started to do performances, and it was first person who brought this kind dance in Lithuania. Ausdrucktanz in Germany, it's not translated, it's just free dance, free dance. You know this.
But can you jump a little bit to your experience?
Okay, just few sentences before, because when Russian came Soviet, it's close. She emigrated in but one girl continue in Soviet time 40 years. It was my teacher, Kira Doyotaite. 40 years she continue. It's not this stopped. It's continue. And when I been teenager, when we celebrate 20 years, I went in this Ausdrucktanz company, Sonata, and start to dance. And I am third generation, not break to the part, just one teacher, another teacher, and this. And I am this, and of course, but I danced 12 years in this company, and when first time I went to Paluca school in Dresden, suddenly my eyes opened that after 20 years, this dance developed in many different techniques. We still dancing like before Second War in this company, and I understood that I have to run very fast to catch the world. And I start to run till today.
Thank you.
And step by step, I understood that I have to do my separate, and alone with some girls, some, and after 15 years, when we did something, I start to pushing municipality to establish, to give something to us.
So then we will move later about the something.
Okay.
Okay?
Sorry.
Later. Thank you. Thank you. Pardon. Thank you. Brit, can you remember your first years, how it started in Estonia, contemporary dance?
I don't, yeah, thank you. I don't remember the 30s, but 90s, yeah, I do remember. I was a student in Tallinn Pedagogical University, student to become a dance teacher. That was the only high education for dance possible. So everybody who liked something to do with dance, they tried to get into this school. So I was the student there, and I very so I graduated 90, maybe one. And I remember very well my first modern dance class, because there was a sort of 40 years old male ballet dancer who somehow, somewhere, also probably in Germany, went once to a modern dance class once. And he was hired then to be the modern dance teacher in university. But still, I sort of thought that it was interesting. So I started to look for information and so on. Just for the younger people, no internet, yeah, no, like no Google, nothing. Yeah, and there was, of course, Estonians from North Estonia. We had this privilege to see Finnish TV, and there they sometimes showed like Elvin Eili or Maurice Béjart or performances. So you started to get some kind of ideas. Very quickly after graduating, me and Heili Einasto, who is now professor and theater and dance studies, we created organization. I think it was 92. I'm not sure. Try to look in Google, but didn't say anything about that. Anyway, we opened an organization called Dance Information Center of Estonia. We don't have it anymore, so that was the first information center in the Baltics, and then now we have in Latvia and Lithuania, but not in Estonia anymore. And the idea was really just to spread the information, that to be in contact with the West world, to get information, to share. We started to organize a lot of dance classes with foreign teachers and so on and so on. And of course, that back then it was kind of a little bit competition from West, like who can bring their culture first to East Europe. So in Estonia it was the Americans, so who were the first ones. So we had modern dance before everything else. Somewhere around there, also dance company Fine Five, who they are not here, but also started somewhere in the mid-90s. And then the Dance Information Center, we changed the name to, it's a sort of, it's called, in Estonian it's called Teine Tants, which can be translated as a second dance, but also as another dance. So it was clearly sort of, meaning that it's not this dance what you think it is, that it's something different. And we changed it mainly because we started to get phone calls from mothers asking where her son can get hip-hop classes and so on, and we had no idea. And so we had to change the name. It was, of course, it was a non-NGO, so no support, nothing like that. And in 90, that's what I looked now, in 1994, we organized Evolution Festival, which is basically pre-accessor to Baltic Dance Platform. It was a platform for Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Russia, and Belarus. And Ukraine as well. So it was that kind of platform. We did it no less than 10 years. And then we started to do an Estonian platform. But yeah, that was the 90s, very quickly. Sorry, I
Thank you. Trino, you remember the same things, or?
Actually, I don't remember nothing. That's because in 1992, I just graduated my gymnasium. And during my school time, I did a dance, but I didn't know nothing about contemporary dance because contemporary dance doesn't exist. And I was not from the capital city. I was a little bit countryside, so I didn't have any idea what this another dance is. I tried. I really wanted to go, just to give you kind of context, what's kind of environment we had. I really wanted to go study in a university the dance. But then I just understood that we just got independence and everything collapsed and the new structures, new system was not built on. And then I understood if I go to study the dance, then I can become a folk dance teacher or kind of show cabaret was another option. And folk wasn't interested for me at all. And the cabaret, it was a little bit, but I was too short and I was not tired already. Then I understood that's also not to me. And then, okay, and then I understood dance is not for me. Because if you are not interested in folk or show, cabaret, there is no what to do. And as I said, I was living in a countryside. There was kind of system of culture houses in each small villages, and there was really like local people gathered. I really liked to become as a boss of this culture house. But as I said, everything collapsed. Even this culture houses doesn't exist anymore. So I decided not to go to study dance. And I had nothing. I didn't have any idea what is contemporary dance. I remember the same year, 1992, I met one of my friends in a city, in Tallinna Old Town, and she said that she was entering to this same university. And we had a conversation, oh, how it was, what you did. And then she said, yeah, I danced in exams, in entrance exams. Then I stopped my dance, and then I started to say the poetry. And wow, you had to dance, and then you decided to stop and say a poetry. Wow. I think it was kind of first contact with kind of another thinking in dance. So this was kind of landscape maybe around beginning of 90s, and I just became attached with contemporary in the late of 90s, but maybe I can talk this later on.
Okay, thank you. What about crossing the border, Inta? How
Hello.
it was in Latvia?
I was thinking about this folk dance. I was also doing folk dance, but already then in mid-90s, like there was, I don't know how it's in other countries in Baltics, but there was this official repertoire, you did folk dance, but then you had all those guest concerts, exchanges with another folk dance groups. And for the party section, that was pure avant-garde. Like every group were preparing something super crazy. Like I look at some pictures, so it looks like this vibe of wanting something new was there already then. And I don't remember 30s, but we didn't have anybody surviving from the 30s till 90s. But I have heard that in 1978, when I was born in Moscow, there was Bejar company guest performances, which blew minds of the Soviet people. And that was in a way like one of the first pushes for the choreographers to start think differently. But from what I know, what happened in mid-90s, we also got Americans, yes, coming to start teach because they got money. And but where it started to emerge, there was more, of course, modern dance things at the same not at that time, not contemporary. It was this state folk dance company. So they had this Gregory Hancock from US with some workshops and performances. And then also those cabaret companies, which were the Soviet export companies, and some of the dancers who are still in the field, they were dancing for them and performing also in West. So that was also another exposure to Western things. And musical theater was the third one. But all those got closed down in mid-90s. So in a way, like it could have continued this modern contemporary development through the state institutions, but because of lack of money, the first to close down were the places which kind of supported more another dance. So it didn't happen. And then there was this Via Dance organization founded in 95. They were starting also to bring different workshops. And I heard that they had a chance with the support of Goethe Institute to bring Pina Bausch even. But they didn't bring because one of the leaders of this Via Dance, he's like this yoga person. And he hated Pina smoke so much. So Pina Bausch company never came to Latvia because of smoking. So yeah, but this Via Dance went bankrupt because of bank crisis in 95. So that's again like when it kind of got cut. And then the continuation from that, what we count as this kind of ongoing thread of contemporary dance, is the first rehearsal and first performance in Birutes Festival by Olga Žitluhina, and Baiba maybe can tell more about from 96, looking into from 96.
Yes, thank you, Baiba. Please continue.
Yes. Finally, we came to our Latvian starting. So Olga Žitluhina started her own company, first contemporary dance company in Latvia, and the first grant for the company was from Soros funds, $100. So it was around 1996. The money helped us to travel to festival in Kaunas, where we showed our first premiere, Silke Atostogos. Silke Atostogos. Yeah, there were 8 dancers in the company then, and at that time it felt like we were going something nobody else was doing, creating contemporary dance. Like it always seems important to start with the body, with training, and to open a path for dancers to look at dance from a different perspective, from the inside, from yourself. So in a way, everything the company and the festival did was about building a foundation and creating a field from nothing. We were always filling gaps. If something didn't exist, we made it happen. No classes, then we teach. No place to dance, then we organize evenings. We eventually grew into a festival. No education, then we created. So in 1999, Olga Žetlukina created a contemporary dance program in Latvian Academy of Culture, and then all the growing started of the all field. And now we are approximately 100 contemporary dance artists in Latvia. So.
Okay, thank you. Audroni, you were not afraid of peanut butter smoking and bring her to Lithuania as well. You saw not even in Moscow, Maurice Bajar, I hope. How it was for you this roaring 90s?
Okay, will touch two facts that colleagues mentioned, because they also had echoes in Lithuania. Maurice Bajar came here in 86, and actually what I remember, because it's the younger people, they can't imagine, that was end of Soviet time. That was also shock for the society, because it was like 4 performances at the sport hall and 2 at the opera. So I count that it was like 14 maybe 1,000 people who saw that. And
usually it's the same people which are going.
No. It was very difficult to get tickets and so on. And in my opinion, that even helped somehow our society to go towards freedom. That's my, I mean, there are other versions, but that's because it was just before all the movement started around separating from Soviet Union. Another thing about Pina Bausch, you had one guy, we had another guy that was at that time vice director of the opera, who said that we don't need this kind of who knows her. When we brought it was 2001, it's later history. Yeah, we brought Pina Bausch, but that's because then it was also there. I think the same time, because Pina Bausch herself wanted to come to Baltics because of some music lines at the Sacre de Printemps. Then those two things. Then I'm kind of fourth generation, if you wish, because I saw whatever we call it, modern, contemporary, outdoor dance, free dance, first time at the Aura Festival in Kaunas. I don't remember, it was 87, 88 or 89. Okay, 89, then in 99. And at the same time also there was festival in Vitebsk, which is in Belarus, which was very important for the former part of Soviet Union. I was there since, I don't remember, 88 or 89, like for maybe 15 or 20 times. Then, because Aura was in Kaunas, just to have an idea about the dance goers. There was no, what you see now in Lithuania, that was not existing. I remember roughly one season, I think it was like 92, 93 or 91, 92, when in terms of dance, because the National Ballet Company at that time said, because there are cuts, we were society in transition, so there is no money for new performances, so there was no any premiere at the opera, only new roles, like young artists come and make some duets or solos. Then the National Folk Dance Company, which is balletized folk, as you imagine, they made like one premiere per 2 years, but it was mostly like taking repertory either from 40s or 50s or 60s, like golden repertory. And then Aura was in Kaunas doing something, starting the new thing, but Kaunas is a different town, so I was in Vilnius mostly. But yeah. And I'm just talking about Vilnius. There was no company yet in Klaipėda. Kaunas Musical Theatre was kind of provincial, like operetta dancing. And I remember that around that season there was one kind of touring company of, I don't remember how it was called exactly, but kind of aero dance. So mixture of, you know, if you wish, some kind of strip and disco, I don't know how to call it, but kind of nice girls with nice breasts dancing on big stage. Yeah, so, and that's it.
So as a dance goer, because at that time I was ballet critic, dance ballet critic, because I'm former ballet dancer. So at that time I was actively writing. So I didn't have what to write about.
Well, you wrote, I remember, about the first striptease in Lithuania.
Yeah. So we were working at the same paper, but whatever. You know. then in a way, I was kind of thinking that I have to create a job for myself, to have what to write about. Then there were my first larger kind of professional trips. One was I was participating in Courant d'Est, like there is a program of the French Cultural Ministry for professionals from the East. So I was like there for dance institutions in Paris and around, and also at American Dance Festival. So in Paris I was in '93, and '94 I was at American Dance Festival, and also had a special program to tour some of like towns, dance institutions. And I went because I heard that there is some guy in Estonia doing something like that. So I went by bus to meet him, but that was Brit. I don't remember, it was 92, 93, or I don't remember exactly. I knew that he took some of ideas from guys around the lake, like towards Helsinki. That was Dance Information Center, which was established earlier, as well as I remember. So yeah, and I decided that and the last two things actually, like personal stories. I tried to because at that time I had some name as critic, kind of writing about dance, and I had, because you have again to see, it's like professionals means only ballet people who have diplomas. So I had it. I was dancing. I did dance before. So I was trying to talk to the Ministry of Culture, to people there, that we should try to have more kind of contemporary dance or contemporary ballet. And I remember the chair of music at that time, and musicians actually were ruling mostly Lithuanian Ministry of Culture for 20 years or so, plus. I had discussion with her. Should we have? She said, "Audronis, but we have ballet. Why we need contemporary dance?" That was official. I mean, it was not officially an official discussion, but like personal. I said, "But why we need contemporary music then?" But that's not your business. So that was with official, and so like state institution. And then we had very good news. Open Society Fund came, like Soros Fund, and they said publicly that they will have the kind of modern things, they will bring modern trends, and they opened also performing arts program, I think it was called. And officially they said, like in this long interview, that they will have in theater, music, and cinema. I called the woman who was running it and asked, but why dance? Why not? Where is dance? She said, but there is no dance in Lithuania. Then I understood that, we have to do dance. And that's how I moved towards creating, of course, lobbying also, like creating organization, Lithuanian Dance Information Center, with example from Estonia and Finland. And that's how we moved forward. Formally, actually, it was established by government of Lithuania, but it was only formal thing, because at that time, by law, no private institutions could be established. So that was kind of story, a bit of personal, but also like professional.
Yeah, you touched some break points, which are, of course, different to another participants of the panel, I think. I remember that Vita Mozuraitė, dance critic, wrote that the breaking point in Lithuania was establishing of dance school in this academy. But there were also some other maybe breaking points.
The step by step, yeah.
Yeah. Can you say what do you see in Latvia, for example, like the main points, which were just like beginning to move dance and aesthetic, or just like interesting in the dance?
Sorry, can I some comments to Audroni's speech? To see very short some comments, because with, for example, first big our step, like amateur company in 90 was in Tallinn, first contemporary choreography competition in Estonia, Fete, big Fete, all professionals, Estonian, Tartu, Vanemuine, from Finland, from Switzerland, and because in Lithuania this time no one did this, made contemporary choreography, they invite us. And we show this in Estonia stage, our big program, and it was so big shock for all people. Next time in the main magazine in the first pages was our this, and all people from this company came to me. What the theater? Which the theater? I said, we are not theater, we are motor company. No, unbelievable. It's. And after that, I start to fighting, and I had brave to rent the opera theater and ballet theater in Vilnius in 1992 to show free part performances, Aura, in Vilnius. In Vilnius, nobody knows about Aura. And suddenly it was sold out. Absolutely all staying tickets was sold out. And Audronis wrote, this time he was journalist, and after that he wrote that, wow, Aura, one day dancing, sak, sak, sak. Second day dancing in opera theater. Reiškia, with big success. Second time in 94, we repeat this again, full, sold out all tickets, and we show big program, and it was normal, contemporary, modern, how you want, physical theater, and we start traveling all Europe. I don't know, it's where in Germany city where we didn't have performance, Poland, all, and after everywhere, America, Hong Kong, India, everywhere. Thank you.
Yeah, that's how I find out about breaking points in Estonia, contemporary dance. Well, let's turn to Latvia. What you remember, what you see like the essential things.
Breaking points. Maybe it hasn't happened yet because that huge thing hasn't happened still. But I think it was similar to what Audronis was mentioning about this kind of struggle to prove that this can also be professional thing. That because it's not over yet. I think in a way, but that's why. But also what Olga Zhitlukhina was doing, like, okay, we need this education program, so we have diploma, so we can show diploma, so then we could get into funding systems, because otherwise there would be no way. It's still based on this old union system. If you're a member of Composers Union, Artist Union, or so, then you are. So that's why also the Choreographers Association was founded. The education program was needed. When the first group of graduates graduated in 2003, then Olga made an audition, so it becomes like, okay, you need to audition for the company. So that was all that struggle to get into the funding system. But in the beginning, anyway, in this cultural endowment program, I know that it was kind of lobbying ballet people who was on the panel to convince them to give a little bit of money also to contemporary dance. I think first time when like I was also doing a lot of dance criticism for a while, and I think I was the first person on this cultural endowment panel, like in between, like writing about all dance genres, but more coming from contemporary to make decisions. So, and it happened only in 2011. So before that, all those funding decisions were like somehow from theater people and from ballet who were on the panels. So I think, and because this our Ministry of Culture was run by nationalist parties and musicians also for a long time, I think this is like really like maybe this last couple of years is the first time when on this kind of political level contemporary dance a little bit heard more, and also like some steps are made like through supporting this dance house initiative in Riga Circus and also in Valmiera, but I'm doing so. I think it's still like very raw there, and if there is a breaking point, in 2001 there was this White Oak dance project, and we have our this Barishnikov's company, and we have this big name, Mikhail Barishnikov is from Riga, and maybe those things are also helpful, like in a way, like, oh, he's not doing ballet anymore, but he has this contemporary dance center in New York, so that in the mind of people. But and the big dance names, like now I know Akram Khan is brought to Latvia, and it's sold out for super high prices, but the local community is still very little seen, and so that struggle is still to continue in a way to recognize the local ones. You need international success. Latvian artists need international success. Okay, we got first one in Aerowave, so maybe that is helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Baiba, do you want something to add?
No, just that how I feel that time, that collaboration between Baltics was very serious and very, very, very strong. So it was once So we can continue or starting it again, please.
Okay, Udroni wanted.
Just because colleagues said about what Western countries brought some contemporary dance to their countries, what I remember, 90s it was French dance, mainly. Then the first one, I think it was like Choreographic Center of Caen of Karin Saporta. I also brought her second time, I think, like to Lithuania, and then series of French companies. Then British Council was active, so British dance was coming, Americans one or two. And I also remember that during Soviet time, it was a bit like something from Cosmos, from somewhere, from other galactic. Ghost Concert, like organization in Moscow, was bringing every second year something, either it was called Takajuki dance, or girls from Takajuki from Japan who were doing like that, or some real, or like Paul Taylor company, or something from Ballet de Monte Carlo. But again, you have to know that Ballet de Monte Carlo, it's kind of, they were doing Balanchine and like not Swan Lake. Yeah, one more phrase. To imagine for Westerners what was mentality like of the whole society. The head of National Ballet Company of Lithuania, she was really from Ukraine, but from Soviet Ukraine. In 93 or 94, because she was I was criticizing, some other people were criticizing her for very conservative approach. She said in one public interview, very nice phrase, to dance Balanchine for National Ballet Company, it's too avant-garde. It's 93, 94, the head of the National Ballet Company, which had huge, of course, impact on politicians and so on. So you can imagine, aesthetically, what was that.
Yeah. Thank you. Preet, you, what about Estonian breaking points? And you have established Dance Information Center. But later you began to produce as well, I think. Why it was such turning point?
First, maybe some
Yes.
important sort of breaking situations. No, well, I think that the starting of Dance Information Center was that kind of one of the steps. And also back then I was also working, I had, there was in beginning of 90s or middle of 90s, there was two positions in a state system which were somehow related to dance, whatever kind of dance. It still exists. It was Estonian Folk Dance Center, and they had two expert positions for dance. One was for obviously for folk dance, and the other was for something else. And I was working there. So, for example, it was very important because it got you direct possibility to the copy machine. Because for free, yeah, it's 90s, yeah. So which made possibility to do, for example, dance information, sort of small something leaflets or something. I remember there was like, for example, there were programs of dance performances in Helsinki for the next month. So you could go, if the people who wanted, they could go and see. And to get the information there, you have a contact there, yeah, because how, like, I mean, no internet, yeah, so I established contacts there and so on and so on. So, okay, but so this was, this Dance Information Center maybe was one of the, obviously the first dance company, which later became Fine Five, but before it was Nordic Star and then Nord Star, and it was the mixture of some ballet dancers from a ballet, and then Rene Numik and Tina Olesk, who had a different, also the same school as I went to, Tallinn University dance background. This was important, and then the first festival, it was called the August Dance Festival, what we started in Tallinn in 1995, 6, I guess, something like that. There was before, if maybe somebody remembers, there was dance summer schools in Pärnu. What we organized, we sort of took over one full hotel, and there were people from Latvia, Lithuania, and then Estonia, and then we got some teachers to teach there for 2 weeks. We were all in Pärnu. That was also, I think it was 3 years we managed to do that, but then the money problem came. And of course, very, very important point is the new establishment of endowment of arts in Estonia, because this in Estonia, endowment of arts is a little bit different than in Latvia. It's by law concrete percentages of tobacco, gambling, and alcohol tax, and not sort of not that the politicians can decide what percentage, but it's done. It's
So
in the law.
politicians, excuse me, they don't see it as immoral act.
Also,
To
the artists don't
support
see
culture.
it. Yeah, also the artists don't see it because it's if you ask
Yeah.
them that, because it and all the money is in Estonia for independent arts, not for the big state theaters or whatever. Cannot apply from there, and you can apply to come to Vilnius to the dance platform, but also you can apply to make a new production, and everybody can apply, even foreigners can apply if the project is somehow connected with Estonia. So this gave for the independent scene, which I'm not so well in educational, maybe Trino is more the dance community itself. Of course, that we have 2 schools where you can graduate as a dancer and choreographer, Tallinn and Viljandi. And so all these people are coming out, they need some kind of work, and the endowment of arts is definitely one of the savers. And later on, when already Estelle, or Sõltumatu Independent Dance organization started, this changed a lot, I think, for the dance scene. And then also Kanuti Gildi saal a little bit started to not only focus on dance, let's say, and because there was, and now it's I think the good point is that we and Fine Five are subsidized by the government like regular. It's not we are applying, of course, like every other theater, but there is taxpayers' money. So these are the sort of main.
Okay, thank you. So that is also some kind of answer that you begin to produce because for the people who graduated dance school and for not to go abroad. Trino, what about you said about education? You can add something, no?
Actually, as I said, I was not in the contemporary
Yeah.
dance on that time, so just trust
Okay.
because I even didn't know that contemporary dance exists, that there is a kind of dance like a contemporary.
Okay. I would like to ask one more question about some essential breaking points. Do politicians in your countries go to contemporary dance performances?
Do we want them? Do we want them to come?
I should add that actually for me it was a game. I was with the new Baltic Dance. I was inviting partly it was part of game. I was every inviting, and for me it was educating how to say the sector of politicians what is contemporary dance, and that gave some results because just again to remind people, we started at a time of no internet. We started at a time where there was no cultural council. Cultural council in Lithuania appeared after Estonia and Latvia. Means no really financing source. So with the Soros fund. And so I kind of, yes, so politicians, some of them were coming, and that gave, I think, because somehow also dance processes impacted on development of the state system. So Culture Council fund at the beginning, Culture and Sport Fund, then conversion of it to Culture Council. So that somehow helped, in my opinion. Of course, there are other opinions about that.
Priti, are you can you agree with Audronis, or just you expel politicians?
In my dream world, the politicians trust experts and not deciding themselves which is good or bad, or what is good or bad. Or in my dream world, they consult specialists and then make a decision from there. So in this sense, I don't need them in the deciding is Lithuanian dance better than Latvian dance, for example, or something like that, whatever. So I. As they are also people, so then of course would be nice to have any kind of people in the audience.
Even some experts.
Even some experts, or even politicians, yeah, yeah, no, it's a tricky. There is I think it's in Finland. I'm sorry if it's not anymore, but I think there is for example, a system in the theatre field that they are announcing a theatre of the year every year, and it's done this way that the theatre union decides who are the two nominated theatres. The experts decide who are these two nominated theatres, and then they ask one politician from the parliament opposition to decide. And obviously, then the politician has to go to see the theatres, and especially these two theatres, and know them, and and then he could decide. I think that kind of tricks would be much easier or more important to get to make with the politicians, because as politicians want us to trust them, they have to trust us as well as specialists from our own field. But maybe we are coming to this, but I think what is important also, I listened also yesterday the discussion, the contemporary dance is a sort of new thing in the cultural field. For me it was, and I have felt that it's very important as for democracy, because people, especially here in these parts, for us to sort of understand that they are facing things that it's normal to face things what you don't know, sort of, and then you have to deal with it in a way, like in our society also we are facing, I don't know, we are seeing other people coming to live in our country or whatever, yeah, and we have to deal with it in this sense that it's not going away. And also dance field, dance performances are, and also any contemporary, I think is very good example to sort of what democracy can do. And for example, in Estonia, when I have in the 90s also, when I spoke with politicians, then this was the point they understood, that everything that kind of new is good for democracy, and it's it makes democracy better, stronger, and at least this is my sort of feeling or understanding.
Okay, thank you. No.
But it's about governments and about how politicians.
I wanted to ask how you convinced municipality to become your theater municipality. How you convinced? Kaip įtikinote?
I don't know how, it's a long history, but now we trust us a lot. If some president coming, Pope coming, other government ambassadors coming, Aura invite Aura will do. Aura will do, and we very happy. And it one very funny thing was some couple years ago we lost our president Grybauskaitė when she was, and this time in Laisvės alėja, Main Street, Kaunas, we did very contemporary for Jewish survivor, one Netherlands person who in wartime this, and will be they said will be President Grybauskaitė from Netherlands coming or king or something. With some
King or something.
No, king or president, sorry, I don't remember, or son. And a big delegation, very important. And in the outside, in the Laisvės alėja, you have to do. What to do? We give you 10 minutes to show all Lithuania history 10 years, to use sutartines, what we have, and to dance like NDT. This level, in outside, in the street, and during 10 minutes, oh God, and I did this, and all people was, wow! I used Lithuania some folk, contemporary folk music, and we put some contemporary folk, some movements.
Yes, you are very active with municipality, but tell me please.
Because they paying money for us. They established us in 1995.
So do you have some freedom to choose and
Absolutely.
to say?
Who can
Just
say me,
no.
don't do this? I said, I will do this. They not pushing me.
Okay.
I am free. I can do what I want. And they asking to do this or to do this, to open a Christmas tree, to different events. I said,
So-
okay, and we know that Aura will do all things what we want, and we very happy. But the mayor, he can't to sit maybe 1 hour performance. He watching shot with fragments, and he's happy. Because he, you know, this Kaunas mayor is very important
Is
person.
in Estonia
It's
even
very
well known.
I know. So in this time we are normal, but we don't have our
So
building.
as you see, Kaunas is flourishing with the dance. What about nowadays productions and nowadays situation? How do you see in your countries? Are there some problems? Are the main problems? Can you name it?
Space problem, I think. In Lithuania and Kaunas main space problem, independent space.
Yeah.
We have just 1 day in old cinema. Now we build a renovation
In
we
Kaunas.
did, and in Kaunas. Yes, and we have to rent the theater. It's super expensive. But we have 1 day we can perform, not for renting, but very small money for this, and we can perform. And now we have to build audience, full.
First
We have
build
to
space, then build audience.
Yes.
Okay.
We
In
have
this
audience, we have audience, but if you would like to show same piece 5
Okay.
times, I don't know.
Okay. What about
Who
Latvia?
comes.
Somehow we have the same problems because we don't have space, we don't have dance theater where audience can regularly come and see dance. But we have a lot of independent artists and NGOs who are working and applying and getting funding also abroad and like, yeah. We're a lot of working, but about audience education, it's like not working very well now because maybe Inta could continue that there is some dance house starting now because of political situation that we get some promotion. I don't know, contemporary dance.
Yeah, maybe I can a little bit. So it bit goes back to what I said about this nationalist party, and now it's more social democrat. Very finally can have conversation about that because this nationalist party minister was running away from me, not coming to performances. So that was how it was before. But this dance house thing, actually, this is this concept of fake it until you make it. Yeah. So in the pitch you heard about Ruta's performance, like we need dance house. So in a way, it is like there were some intentions, but we started it as a project, just through cultural endowment. There was conversation, but it's in Valmiera, in municipality, because they had ambition to have dance house if they would become a European culture capital in 27. Liepāja became, not Valmiera, but they kept the ambition in this old steam house to have interdisciplinary contemporary arts center, and so we came together with municipality gave small money, culture endowment gave okay money, so we could have half a year program last year, and now we continue this year. But this putting this name, like, so it sounds bigger, like a dance house, having logo, opening at the dance house, even if it's just the rental event and we rent from the state theater who rents from the municipality, so it's all, nobody needs to know about that, but having that announcement and at the same time continuing a little bit of push and explanation about this democracy thing to the minister who finally understands, because she's different from the previous ones. Then there is finally first direct money from Ministry of Culture in this 40,000 euros went to Riga Circus to have this dance house Riga Circus using the same logo, like, because we kind of like collaborated on that, and we have the first state employed person in Latvia in contemporary dance, Cynthia Siliņa, Riga Circus project manager. So that is a great achievement. At this time, it's a pilot year. It will have like 4 nights, four performances only so far, and some residencies. But anyway, this is this visibility, this is ongoing presence, and full-time person who can keep up the discourse on that thing. At the same time, I think what is happening from the state theaters, because if you look at the subsidy, now we can say clearly that the state subsidy to the state theaters is 20 million per year to contemporary dance, 40,000 to Riga Circus. And cultural endowment, our state theaters go there. And now they have found, because there's a budget cuts for state theaters, and they have found the main reason why the state theaters are not doing so well. And the reason is because contemporary dance projects are also submitted and getting some money from cultural endowment. So this is all the time when we talk about this political level, how dance is political. This is what I see all the time, that this contemporary dance is like the symbol of kind of disturbance of the old conservative systems. And even if this money proportion and all the practical terms, it's just ridiculous to blame contemporary dance and try to get it out of this funding body and reduce the amount of projects funded. It just reminds that this is the right thing we are doing, because it doesn't leave those very heavy institutions and the ones who are just like to maintain status quo. They have this kind of something in mind all the time. This contemporary dance, it becomes like this.
Takes all the money.
Yeah, but it's disturbing them, and that's, I think it's as long as it happens, we can still believe that this is still contemporary art form, like not hasn't become like too institutionalized or too conservative.
Yeah, be sure somebody will ask you just to join the song festival that doesn't exist without
it's important, but I have heard a couple times that contemporary dance will also destroy the song and dance festival, and taking it away, and it will like, so that was also the discourse like I have experienced myself, like saying this is also, we are destroying state theaters and song and dance festival.
Very strong organizations. Priit, Triinu, what about Estonian?
Maybe talking about this political situation or what we are dreaming of, maybe it's good to understand how this contemporary dance is financed at this moment. It's mostly financed. Also, we get our annual support from the ministry, and we have to compete with the theaters. So we are charged with the same parameters, and we are not the strongest in their lists. So and it means that some we have Free Plus, Kanuti Gildi, and Electron is also like 5 organizations are financed as an more like a production houses. To support the dance and to produce, and of course all those houses have their own angle or some own aim, how they want, what kind of contemporary dance they want to support. And for example, we have also took ourselves also kind of development aims to develop this contemporary dance, because we don't have any dance info center anymore. And why I'm talking this, that and then we have this culture endowment, what is mainly supporting the artistical work, because this money what we get, the annual support, is not enough for the artistic works. It's just for our organization to just keep some people yearly to work and to rent the main venue. So a lot of our energy goes just to make application to the local Estonian foundation to apply money for our own Estonian dance artists to produce. And in that sense, I should say what I'm missing, that our contemporary dance artist doesn't has kind of independent status, that we can all the money and all the possibilities come through those production houses. So they just come to us, and then we are going to work for them. So what I'm really and we don't have possibilities that the artist can apply additionally kind of grants for their artistic longer development or work. That's really bad. It means that we don't have kind of equal partnership with the artist. They just come to us and they are really relating of our choices. Estonia is a small one, and we don't have, of course, it's a kind of limitation of money again. But what I want to see, the more different possibilities, what kind of money is available for what purposes, that we can make more partnership in an equal level. I think it should help us a lot. But yeah.
Thank you. Audroni, want to add something beside the space in Lithuania?
Talking about these political kind of aspects like financing and spaces, in a way, Arts Printing House, which started activities like 1909, then was formally that part what you see now was renovated in 2009, kind of solved for a while question of space for dance. It's not only for dance, but dance most of the previous years it was okay. They were getting some rehearsal spaces and they could have the stage. I know I heard now that there is a bit difference, but I can't comment on that. And so that's regarding the spaces. Again, to understand, like before when we started, no internet, no financing as kind of system. Of course, you can always find lover or mother who would give you some money for something, but not as a system. And no venues, no rehearsal spaces. I remember times, it was also 90s when not only dance, but if you are not so like NGO theater, NGO dance or opera music company, you could go to theaters on Mondays when they are closed. So they were giving rent only on Mondays. That was for a while. So on those days, so Fridays, you could not get the space at all. Of course, it was for rent and quite huge rent, and every technician had to be paid and so on. And regarding money also, now we have this kind of culture and sport, cultural council. But financially, it's like because we talked about in Lithuania there is so-called strategic financing at the cultural council, but it's kind of difference among Lithuanian and Estonian organizations. It's like 2, 3, 4 times difference, not per sense, but like in proportions. And what we find in Lithuania, of course, we have ongoing discussion, and if we will start it here, we will kind of quickly get a very hot dispute that we dream about national, so to say, kind of institutional dance organization. Some people think it should be company, but dances like repertory dance company. Some other people think it should not be repertory dance company, it should be dance house, financing like different projects, but like kind of permanent basis. So there is no that yet, and that means that it's still like dance. It's here. There are I don't know exactly how many more than 100 guys and girls have completed studies in already foreign institutions. If we add Lithuania, I think it's like already 200 or so. But it's always freelancing. I mean, formally we have no. Sorry, I mean there is Aura, but in Aura there are no Lithuanian dances for now. I think Klaipėda they try to a few years already to employ a few, and Low Air you try to have one too, but that's kind of like small things, and there is no one. When we compete to theater again, I also regarding kind of who takes from whom. I remember complaint of one famous Lithuanian director like 10 years ago, who said, you know, contemporary dance takes too much from Culture Foundation. There are so many theaters, and there are that's I can show you. So there are so many theaters, so there are so many people working in theater, and dance gets too much. But he was not saying that, you know, there are state theaters in Lithuania, like 13 or so, including opera and ballet, and there is no dance institution. So it's always kind of competing with other fields. Of course, there are in Vilnius like 3 state orchestras, means 100 musicians each company. And of course, they play contemporary music or classical music or again contemporary music, and directors can get some like work there. And for dance, it's still always occasional random work.
Okay, thank you. We have still some time for your questions or comments.
In French, and that's how many? A lot, thousands independent, 1,000 freelancers who getting money from different foundations, but state companies is Vera Ballet company, and I don't know, in Norway maybe Von Bergen National Dance Company Contemporary. Yeah. I don't know how they exist. I don't know. I agree what you think, but I don't know how we agree. Yeah. They exist.
Hello, one more time. I will comment very shortly what Audronis is saying about where we are now. That together with Dance Information Center, we already established the working group together with the Culture Ministry, and we agreed with them, even with all the political issues, but still we agreed that we will work now to get the institution for dance. Will it be a dance house, dance institute, whatever? Now we are working on that, but it's really like now I think the time, and I really hope that when we meet on the next Baltic platform, we can say that we have some national dance institute or dance house. Yeah.
Yes.
Hello, you mentioned that in Aura there is no Lithuanian dancers, so maybe you could comment on that if you have this company, or I didn't understand right.
Udrone. No, Udrone.
Yeah, about the dancers, if they are not from Lithuania, as I know there are a lot of good dancers in Lithuania, why is that choice made?
The choice, it's a very simple choice, because it's can be big discussion. We don't have time, because I have question for, I don't know, for all this Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, all people who are, for example, how they call, for example, company, Göteborg Opera Dance Company. How they call NDT, what their style they dancing, what their style creating Crystal Pie, what their style creating Ohat Nacharin, kibbutz, and in each Germany, for example, Stadttheaters company, where are dancing, and a lot, 100,000 choreographers, because they not look like we here and understand about contemporary dance style. What is it? How you can describe these companies who are who are strong physical theaters, who all expression, ideas, concept expressed by the body language.
The question was, why do you don't have Lithuanian dancers? So why?
Why?
Kodėl neturit?
Because Aura, during all my life, we developing and I find my style, my creation. I am choreographer and creating a lot of pieces and all my concepts, ideas through the body.
So
Strong, physical,
so
interesting, very, very physical body, not ideas writing on the papers and minimal things on the stage. And I need this kind bodies. And sorry,
Lithuanians don't have those bodies.
I don't be bad words to say bad words on Lithuania dance because it's another style. Maybe it's time to separate these two kinds dance. One is performing art dance, and another it's a physical strong dance. Maybe it's time for this. Because it was few or 3 or 4 years, I got, like we did audition now, I just finished audition with girls, it was more from all the world, 400 CVs we got, and we got 3 or 2 or 4 years or before this COVID, 4 from Vilnius girls. And when I watch this video, what we sending from all the world me, and when I watch these 4 impro small things, sorry, but I just propose, please come, but in our beginner group.
Okay, thank you.
People, it's sorry, very sorry about this, but it's real, it's reality. I very want Lithuanian, very want. And now will be a Gota from Čiurlionį school, what I choose her, and another girls in my piece, Yura. She wants to participate in this audition. I said, okay, you are from Kaunas. If you can be 1 year practice, to do practice in Aura, and she's very good. Very physical, very good, very good.
Okay, questions, please.
Hello, Agata Życzkowska, Poland, Warsaw, Union Dance Wave Festival and Hotel Loco Company. I would like to share, after listening to you, with the Polish, let's say, a little bit comparing, and I can say that this year we opened in Warsaw first choreographical center. So we were fighting for this since 30 years. Yeah, so pavilion of dance. So but it's like this is only one space. It's not like 10. I mean, in Warsaw. I don't talk about all Poland. I'm talking about the capital. Yeah, and we don't have one company which is a public company in a contemporary dance. So we are all almost NGOs, except Pavilion, which is only like a production and a presenting center. And I would like to talk about money. So this year, theater got 3.5 million of euro, and dance, like whole dance, not only contemporary dance, 600 euro, 600,000 euro. Yeah. Yeah, so it's like when you compare, it's still we are really, really behind. We are fighting, and I can just add that 7 years ago I was leading the, let's say, the way to this pavilion, to this choreographical center, and it was the project center of dance, and we got only Mondays in a space which was like a cultural center, not really a choreographical center, but all culture. And of course, for dance, we got Mondays. Every Monday, it was for dance. I just wanted to share it that we are 37 million population, and we still struggle, fight, and really want to present dance, but whole festivals in Warsaw and almost also abroad are led by NGOs. Maybe now Lublin is exception. This not the biggest city in Poland, which opened also this year new institution. But generally we are NGOs.
Can I comment? Thank you.
Maybe hi, my name is Maciej. I'm from National Choreographic Center in Lublin. I wanted to share that counting in euros, let's say we are approximately like 750,000 euros budget for the year, and it's combination of municipality and ministry. But to compare drama theater in a very small town like 50,000 people in Leszno is already 1.2 million zlotys, and it's not recognized institution. It's just local theater on the somewhere in the middle peripheries in Poland. So it's a big success, and we are all very glad for Pavilion and our institution, but as a dance community. But in the context of about the question why Lithuanians, why internationals, like there is a I think it's a combination of different situations. Like we need more funding to deliver more quality, but we need also training as a dancers. We need exchanges, but also sometimes director like Birute maybe just chooses the dancers she has on auditions, and I don't, and it's in the moment, and I understand that there can be a big disappointment in the community, but in the same time, is the purpose to please the community, or is the purpose to develop the discipline? And we also in Poland struggle to answer those questions, because even in ballet companies we have more and more internationals. Even now we are kind of obliged to support mostly Polish dancers, but there is so many interesting combinations and exchanges we can have even here with Baltic states and Baltic dancers that we are kind of forbidden, because for this year we have to focus on Polish art. And in my dream future, we can combine it, but well, we need to follow the rules also. So wherever you are, in my opinion, wherever you are free to choose, I think art is freedom, and you're free to choose. I just wanted to comment on both.
Thank you. My last question was planned to ask you what's your secret dreams about the dance, but as far as we are just run out of time, keep your dreams silent, and I wish you all of them come true. Thank you for the panel.
Thank you, Vaidas. Thank you, panelists. So we have 10 minutes break. Let's go. of resistance. We will now have 4 presentations. Each will last 20 minutes, so 15 minutes for a person and 5 minutes for you to question, to comment, or to do something else. As you can see, you cannot see. Our first presenter is already with us online from Ukraine. So it's Viktor Ruban. So Viktor, please unmute yourself and talk with us.
Hello, everyone. Hello, greetings from Kiev. It's a pity not to be with you physically, and actually I had possibility to join you physically, but we have a change of the rector in my university, and because of that, my academic mobility was blocked just on procedure note because I couldn't submit the papers to get the permission without the signee on the behalf of university. Do you hear me well? All is good? Thank you. Yes, and in fact, like looking at the program and looking at the people in the audience from the previous panel talk, I feel quite jealous that I'm not with you. That I would really be glad to join you. And I know that I have like very, very limited time frame with such a huge topic that I announced, and I will try to cover it within 15 minutes. And I was thinking how to make a bridge with the presentation that was just before. And I don't see actually how to make it directly, even though a lot of things were overlapping and crossing and resonating with the reality that we are in. And I will really be grateful for your help at the Q&A part to make this bridge, maybe coming with your questions or maybe with your comments on what I will present. So I'm speaking on the behalf of Impulse Transformation Platform NGO, which I co-founded in 2017 and that I'm presenting widely within different activities and programs that we run. And first and the most important subject that I would like to touch is funding. And just like I will go briefly and just be aware that it will be like really literally tip of the tip of the things that I could cover. Speaking about what's happening in Ukraine, it's a lot of things happening actually at the same time. So maybe you've heard about Ukrainian Emergency Performing Arts Fund or Ukrainian Performing Art Projects Fund, the programs that we initiated in 2022 that were directed to help Ukrainian artists staying in Ukraine. It's quite a lot of Ukrainian artists displaced to other European countries, and they have much more actually possibilities and opportunities of support than artists staying in Ukraine. And that's why we launched this program. But after October 7 in 2023, the whole direction went to the situation in the Middle East, and somehow all our attempts and solidarity events and all the possibilities to fundraise to support Ukrainian artists got just like silent. So since 2023, we put on hold this program, but we still like would be happy to go on and create more solidarity events showing Ukrainian artists and artistry in other countries for the fundraising purposes as well. So like these institutions or collectives that are in other countries of the world could help us supporting Ukrainian artists staying in Ukraine. So what do we do instead of that? We are advisors of Creative Europe Desk in Ukraine, and somehow that opened us at the door. We are advisors on performing arts sector for them, and we are helping them to organize annual event which is called Perform Ukraine, which is the gathering of the national theaters, independent companies, theater makers, dance makers, and like actors and dancers during this event for the discovering the different grant opportunities, different possibilities to cooperate, find the partners, to do the networking, to do the pitch sessions, or like even to figure out how to work on fundraising and work with funds. And this thing helps us not only to bring this knowledge and direct connection between the actors of different levels of performing arts in Ukraine, but also to facilitate their exchange with the donors, which was very helpful because it helped us to shape slightly the open calls and different funding opportunities by House of Europe, Goethe Institute, and even Creative Europe. So this is something maybe as a practice that you are doing as well, probably, hopefully in other countries, but as a cross-sectoral way of shaping things and helping the ecosystem to survive. This is what we do. And not before 2022, but after 2014, after the war started, because war started much earlier, we managed to push on the state level to finally get a funding body, which is Ukrainian Culture Foundation. And this is the only state funding body that helps artists and independent sector the most. And somehow, after 2022 up till 2024, they had very limited sources, but finally, with our advocacy and our spreading awareness that Ukrainian culture needs support in Ukraine as well, they got some more of the partnerships with different states, with different ministries, and they provide more open calls to the performing arts and dance sector particularly as well. And but still, we are spreading the awareness to the different diplomats and diplomatic missions that please help directly the different NGOs that are working with the different specific sectors of culture. That will be much more helpful because they have much more awareness of the real needs on the ground, on the field, and in the spaces. So as a positive case, there is one grant opportunity Performa that was supported by Performing Arts Fund of Netherlands and Ministry of Education and Culture and Science of Netherlands. And we are helping them with selection, with evaluation, but also with spreading the word in Ukraine. And somehow it's already the second round that they managed to get funding, and it was a very helpful thing for the dance sector particularly, because they are it's a little funding up to 10,000 euros, but still it's already really great and huge support. Another thing that I would like to touch is the role of artistic practice and art pedagogy in psycho-emotional recovery, because in 2023, as partners of Art Therapy Association and Dance Movement Therapy Association, we saw already since 2014 how helpful is creativity and creative work to the psycho-emotional recovery of people of really diverse social groups, from IDPs, displaced people, to volunteers, veterans, and kids, and adults, and families. And, trauma is very present, and traumatic experience is very present because of the everyday attacks on infrastructure, on civilian areas, on critical infrastructure as well. And because of that, we are, as people, as experts that were working on this edge of psychology and psychotherapy and arts and artistic different disciplines, we managed to develop a lot of tools that are helpful and that we share within the program of psycho-emotional recovery of Ukrainians with creativity and art practices. And this was a consortium that we established with over 20 NGOs and 15 state universities and academies of Ukraine from 8 regions of Ukraine. And for that, we managed to kind of spread the awareness of different tools that are very helpful just to be aware of for the students in dance departments, in design departments, in architectural universities, in also working with different objects and sculpturing, because different practices could be just as a leisure activity or something that is for fun or for rebalancement. If the people that are doing these activities, even not having therapeutical education or psychological education, it could be it could bring the relief to the really diverse groups of people. And this is very, very helpful and works a lot. And due to this consortium, we managed to do guest lectures, spreading the tools and methods to art students and art educators. But also within the guest lectures. But also I managed in my university where I teach, National University of Physical Culture and Sports, I managed to develop curriculum for the choreographers and dancers at the dance department that is called Dance Practices and Movement Practices for Art Therapy. And this is the course that could be implemented within the university frame that helps to understand not only like the tools and how diverse dance practices could be implemented for the well-being, but also to have the knowledge about the trauma-informed approach, and also to have the knowledge on ethical aspects, and also profiling and understanding like how you should not trigger, or like how should you avoid different triggering topics or different triggering practices, and how the psycho-emotional dynamic works. So if the students are coming from the endangered territories, or they are teaching classes and there are people from with traumatic experience, how they navigate the dynamic within the class, which is like really helpful for them. So this is already showing how cross-sectoral approach is very helpful, and we cannot say that it's like massive thing on the national level or that is implemented everywhere. We spread as much as we can, but it's already on the level of the university and education system, and then the dance schools, or collectives or companies or theater companies. It's already helpful. And speaking of efforts to coordinate and advocate for the sector through the initiative Dance Plan. Oh, so we are already in Q&A, or it's not there yet. No, we still have 4 minutes. Okay, thank you. Just to understand the scope of the dance sector in Ukraine, even in Kiev, before 2022, we had from 300 to 400 private schools and studios giving dance classes, and around 24,000 students in the municipal art schools with the choreographic direction. It's only Kiev. And if to speak about the overall Ukraine, we have around 40 higher education, like meaning universities and academies, and 30 dance colleges. So like the dance sector is really immense in Ukraine. And just to give you the scope, even in the sport ballroom dance, for example, we have 3 dance associations and federations focused on different level of amateurs, pros, pro-am, different also collectives way for competition, sport dance, and like in general, and professional collectives and studios and dancers is like really huge amount of people involved in the dance scene. So even advocating for the change or for the awareness of the needs of the dance sector is very hard in Ukraine. And for that, seeing the positive, experience of Tanzplan Deutschland, we invited Bureau Ritter to help us to shape and set up the platform, which is called Tanzplan Ukraine, which has such working groups like ethics and inclusion, standards and practices, also dance heritage, dance education, dance and related professions, standards and opportunities, monitoring and analytics, access to spaces and infrastructure, networks, representation and unions, urgent challenges of sector and emergency response, or funding, advocacy and cultural policy. So all those working groups are working in different way. We started it only in October, but already we developed the draft of ethics standards that could be avoiding or like helping us to confront their sexual harassment or like unfair practices, or different things that are related to the practice that has a lot of body and physical component even in education. So how to avoid this and how to bring attention so people and artists and also students and kids could be well treated, and the ethics will be very much respectful, but also monitored and discussed. As well, we managed to, within the group of standards, we managed to work on, to be involved within the development of performing arts education standard that is now in progress, and it's going successfully. Also, within, for example, problem of dance heritage, because the dance heritage is still not part of the museum collections or archives. We managed to implement and develop the protocol for archiving of the dance heritage. And speaking of that, it opens the door to all the infrastructure of art museums. We did it in cooperation with National Art Museum of Ukraine, which is our very solid partner at the moment. And we will start soon already. This year, we are looking for the resources for the digital platform for that, for the archive, to involve into the collection the dance heritage as part of intangible heritage of Ukraine. And just to share this, maybe it will be interesting for you that this protocol is innovative not only for Ukraine, but also to European Union context, because it consists 3 parts: metadata about the objects, also oral history with like video of witnesses and people that were involved into the creation that will be documented and becoming the part of collection, and also a performance protocol. Thank you. I'm reaching to the end. And just speaking of the cross-sectoral approach, you know, even this archival protocol became possible because of our exhibition, How Do You Dance in the War Zone, that was presented in National Art Museum of Ukraine. That was the first exhibition ever in the history of Ukraine dedicated completely to the dance in the walls of this institution. And in the discussion panel talks that we had as a part of the exhibition process, we discovered that they don't know how to, even though they will to have dance as a part of their collection, they don't know how to do that. They don't have the protocol for that. And this helped us to discuss and engage and create several projects already that is mixing not only dance professionals with programmers, but also dance professionals with the experts in museum work. And also in art history that are doing and developing the musification policies and that are developing the culture policies. And why it's important? Because, you know, shrinking opportunities, funding is important, infrastructure is important, of course. In Ukraine, it's also, for example, male artists, if they are not part of the educational institutions or any institution that have kind of possibility to help them to like if they're not wishing to join the army, to stay working within the field, the dance company doesn't have position for being unconscripted. So people have to work somewhere so they can also continue their professional work, for example. And even as I said to you, the academic mobility, this is the only way for me to be able to leave the country for the artistic projects and for the artistic exchange and bringing opportunities to Ukraine as well. So this cross-sectoral approach is already very much important. But also Creative Europe or other platforms that are supporting Ukraine, they are much more directed on the infrastructure or like very heavy things. And of course, humanitarian needs are very important. And of course, military needs are very important. But at the same time, social needs that are also very crucial are becoming more and more the guideline or like, you know, the most important topic for the funding opportunities. And like this makes creators and artists to compromise somehow their work, not to become the socially aware or like culturally aware, but to think how to marry, you know, the impact and instrumentalization somehow of the artistic work towards the different needs. And this is something problematic, but at the same time, it fosters and boosts us to interact with the institution that we were never thinking of interacting. You know, like not only museums, but also, I don't know, like kindergartens. Yeah, we are good. Okay. So I hope this already opened up a bit the scope. And if you have any questions, I'm here.
And microphone is here. Any questions, comments, something? Dancing, moves? No? Okay. Oh, wait a minute.
Victor, could you share what role now, you know, dance has in Ukraine? Because not so far away we had a discussion in Lithuania, theater as a gun, you know, like, and it was a good question. When you have a war on your streets, does theater has the same role when it's a peace, you know, like, and I'm wondering what are artists, you know, like creating now in Ukraine, within Ukraine territory?
Thank you for the question. In fact, since the 2022, the role of arts and performing arts, particularly because it's like a teamwork effort and community-based art form, because it's many people involved, and also it needs the audience for the interaction. It became like really huge space for not only relief, but also for the exchange and like supporting each other and feeling, you know, that you're not alone, you're not isolated, you're not really have to deal with the things on your own. But also many dance communities became huge hubs for responding on the different needs, like helping the volunteers to with the like, you know, medical supplies, helping people with like distribution of the food to the endangered areas, or to do the yoga classes for the military, or like to do the different tactic choreography, the things that developed Christina Shishkaryova, for example, like adapting release-based technique to the training education for the military, so they are not collapsing the lower backs because of the amount of the ammunition. Also, how to really build up resilience, so people will be not only blocked, you know, even military, that they will be not only stuck within their experience on fighting and defense, but also being aware of themselves and also being aware of their body, being aware of their, you know, physical needs and attention work, and what does it mean, the grounding and centering and the breath work. And basically this is the basis that we give for psycho-emotional recovery, the tools that every dancer knows. And then like when military people coming from the front line for the intensive courses discovered with us this, they said like, wow, we didn't know that we can really decompress after the critical stress, you know, like when we were saving someone and going on the mission because there were some hostages, you know. So this is like really also helping the dance community to see the value and the thing, like the value of the practices that we develop, not only for the stage, not only for the aesthetical value, or like not only for the senses that we bring to the audience in interaction, or like concepts and so on, but like really being very, very grounded in the reality. And somehow this helps also to approach in completely different way even conceptual things, like concept of absence or concept of shadow, like the work with the shadow and the, you know, visible, invisible. When you see it from the city that is in the blackout, you can see a bit different aspects of that, and you can also address this to the audience, that how sensitivity is important in the situation when the safety is not guaranteed, when the comfort is not for granted, when the comfort is something that you really need to fight for every day, literally, and create it on your own with your creativity, with your awareness. And this is all based on your human connections and like on connection with each other, helping each other, being for each other, presence, and also sharing this with the people that are not even like dance lovers, but becoming dance lovers after like classes for the relief. I hope this will bring even more sense now. Yeah.
So that's it. Thank you, Victor. Oh, really short question, Laura.
I told you it will be
Hi.
very hard.
My question is kind of continuation of what you just said. It's about the culture in whole. Did the war provoke a sense of solidarity in culture in general?
I think even more because like it made us, I mean, like people working in performing arts particularly and in culture, to go even towards politician explaining that, and like to bring the evidences of our work and like of the contribution in unpredictable way, and also to have us more resources to fight within the culture policy, or like on the policy level, addressing the needs of this very, very ephemeral but very important culture field, that is like really carrying the knowledge of the social body, of you know, social structure, of power structures, and that can bring the tools and bring the possibilities to see in very clear way very hard political topics. And I'm not saying about like political rhetorics, but like really like how do we relate, how do we do the decision making, what are the practices in our everyday life more authoritarian or more like choice-based, you know. So this help us to speak a bit louder, and even this Transplant Ukraine initiative that we already gathered like over 50 organizations and universities as well as a part of it. I couldn't even imagine that before 2022 even. I couldn't even imagine that. But now, because of the shrinking opportunities and also precarity that we really see, and sharing the common challenges, it helps us really to unite and also to be to back up each other, and also really fight together for that, for the changes on the state level, and also to address that in European Union, like in Berlin conference, addressing that. If the countries are cutting off the budgets for the culture, they will be expanding a lot of the budget for the military. But it will be a bit too late, because the society and the state is the culture first, and education, culture and education is the first, and then the rest, like economy, infrastructure, and so on. This is already something where people live, you know. And if we say about the possibility to confront and the possibility to resist to the invaders, to the other countries that are trying to really violate our territory, our people, if we don't have a strong identity, if we don't have strong culture, this has become the open doors for really, as I was very surprised by the fact that many of my colleagues abroad were saying but why you're not leaving Ukraine? I'm like, but where? If I will leave and everybody will leave, then who will defend defend my home places, you know? So just even connection with that, already coming from the culture awareness. Connection comes from the feeling of belonging, feeling of connection with each other.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor. Applauses.
Thank you. I will be watching on the stream. Thank you. The continuation.
So thank you, Victor. I'm. Please wave a little bit. Wave. Do that. Bye bye.
Bye. Till next.
Oh, sorry. So now I will try to adjust everything, and we are tuned. Oh, sorry. So now we are prepared for a second presentation. So please welcome Juraj Korets.
Thank you. Hello. Hello, I'm here today to bring a short report from Slovakia and about the cultural politics changes which happened in last recent actually couple of years. Just to continue and say thank you very much to Victor, because it brought like another perspective, like what does it mean fighting, and what does it mean like to help together and support each other. So it's very, very different context actually. I almost feel like I'm not going to talk about situation in Slovakia because it seems like not so important. Anyway, going further, just to introduce myself, am I here? Yes, I'm here. I'm a dance artist, choreographer, teacher, and also a co-founder of dance platform in Slovakia, and also movement therapist. So I got some inspiration from what Victor was saying before. So to start this, need to find an arrow, is there. So like a short context. So basically in September 2023 we had a change of a government, and we are not the only country which have now in government like a populistic national conservative parties, which actually has like the first target to get rid of to get I forgot the word. Sorry. It's the culture, like the first step which they are targeting. And it's interesting actually to observe like what was happening in Slovakia from the very beginning of this government rise, because the same then I observed that it started to happen in Czech Republic, and what I've heard here, there are also some similarities. So it looks like it's the same wind blowing from the same side to this. So maybe it's something about to think about. So what we had in Slovak contemporary dance before the change happened, we had actually very functional Slovak Art Fund, which started in 2015, I think. And it had like lots of programs for supporting different fields of arts, and there was a very good support for contemporary dance actually. So there was a support for creation, for research, for educational activities, for festivals, and also for presentation of artistic schools. Or the schools which has the art programs. Then also international dance festivals. Bratislava in Movement is here like from 1997, I think. So I think that maybe some of you are also familiar with the festival. And there are other festivals like New Dance Fest, Tanečno, Festival Kiosk, Move Košice, and so on. So it's quite a rich scene with festivals which are giving an opportunities not only for artists abroad, but also for local artists. Plus, it's a platform for contemporary dance, and actually it became an umbrella organization for advocating contemporary dance and helping to develop a structure for contemporary dance, also in a discussion with Ministry of Culture. And so on. It's an NGO, just also bridging to what was said before. So it's not like a state institutional umbrella organization. It's NGO. We have also Telocvičňa, which is the residency center, which is connected to PLAS, which is also open for international cooperations, talking to dancers, dance artists. We also had, I think, 2 years or 2.5 years of Slovak Dance Platform, which started just recently. And what I found also quite interesting is the new study program in Academy of Performing Arts in Bratislava, which is called Dance, Theatre and Performance. And it's kind of like a change from educating dancers to become teachers, but yeah, I see the time now. Thank you. To become teachers, but also it's more like a platform as ateliers to develop like their work and start to think about art differently than like we are teaching dance. So I think those are all the good things which happened, and I still need to bridge to what I've heard yesterday and today about the development of contemporary dance here in the Baltic region. It's very similar in Slovakia, or it's been like very similar in Slovakia, because also it started after '89 and Soros, '90s supports and so on. So I just could like really strongly resonate with that. Still, there were some things which were like in progress and which were missing, but it's completely the same what I've heard here. So underdeveloped cultural infrastructure. So no, we don't have a dance house yet, and we are fighting for it. Also, we are fighting for like an institution which would cover this field of art, and not only this, but contemporary art as a field. Then of course undersized budget, blah 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 blah, just money for solos and duets, not for anything bigger or like a longer research and so on. Even there was a art council, really functional and helpful. Then also there was a discussion about the status of professional artists and to be even like more utopistic pension system for an artist who are like in an independent scene. And quite important law on sponsorship, which is like for sports but not for culture, and this is making like really hard to find like to diversify funding. Yeah, but it was kind of like going on until we had the new government and the new Ministry of Culture, and it went a completely different direction. And now the priorities are very different. This is actually from Denik N, from the local journalist plate. Yeah, and she's starting her term with this statement. So only Slovak and no other culture. So probably it's like in everywhere where this is happening. So maybe there is no other comment to that. And then started the destruction of culture step by step. So the very first step was like dismissal of a director of a Kunsthalle and canceling the Kunsthalle. And now when I remember the reaction of the cultural scene, you know, it was very strong reaction. There was a protest and there was like a response. But somehow it's very huge scene. And it was like, yeah, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's good. We have still something else. It's all right. Like, we shouldn't worry. Let's go on. And then it was like a next step and next step and next step. And now at the moment, there are like all directors of the cultural institution dismissed. And there are installed people who have like actually nothing to do with this specialization. And they are basically just like a nominee of Ministry of Culture and the Nationalistic Party. In Slovakia, there were also some harmful legislation passed, also some really bizarre. It sounds very negative, but I will come also to the positive message, I promise. And some bizarre laws, like for example, like how many flags we should have on institutional buildings. So, you know, more flags, more Slovak. But look at the building, how they look like. So with all these steps, basically like they hijacked an institution, like cultural institution, and it became like dysfunctional and kind of just like a pro forma, taking some money and spreading the money to the not really to the artistic community, and so on and so on and so on. There were, as a response to that, like 5 attempts to dismiss the Minister of Culture in Parliament, all of them unsuccessful. She even didn't come for that. And the destruction continues. So this is maybe more positive, the response of the cultural scene. So in the very beginning, there was a petition which signed like really a lot of people. If you are thinking that in Slovakia we have like 5 million people and there are like maybe 4 million something voters. So this is like a huge number. Nothing happened. Then there was a second petition. So almost the same number. Nothing happened. And then started cultural strikes. So we have actually like the season of cultural strikes and of strikes. So we are like striking like for 2 years, basically like it feels like every day. And also there were like quite a lot of performative protests, which actually brought really attention to like what is happening in culture, because the majority and medias, they are not covering culture like on the first place, and also public, like generally somehow, yeah, I will generalize it, things like artists, you know, they do nothing and they want money. So this is like the basic thing. But with these performative protests, we had suddenly like more attention. There was like more articles coming out. There was more discussions about the culture, and now it became like a major topic actually. So like finally it happened. Like, okay, we are discussing. This is important. This is not just culture, like Victor said, the same. So like culture and education, like the keystones of society and the state and so on. There was a lot of statements of universities and so on and so on. I'm not going to read everything. It's easy to read. And then also like reading joint statements. So basically after every performance, performers were like standing on stage and reading the same statement. And also it was kind of tiring and repeating the same thing, but it was informing the public again and again, like, let's talk about it. Where is it here? So there were like many performative protests. This was one of it. It's for Biennale illustrators in Bratislava. It was actually really beautiful, simple concept when the artistic community were wearing a mask. Oh my God, the time. The mask, and also it took like a lot of attention in media. So I will like do it a bit skipping forward. There were like folk dance or like a traditional dance, a protest, an orange protest, and like another folk, which is actually very supportive, because in the very beginning, like the ministry, but the government wanted, of course, like to divide. You know, like there is a traditional art, which is important, and then there is always these like a contemporary strange things which we don't need, you know. But it was so like supporting that the whole traditional community of artists, or like the community of traditional art, like they really like held with the whole cultural scene, and this helped a lot. So this division, this dividing didn't happen. So I think this is like one of the biggest success. This is a protest actually we did with my colleague in front of the Ministry of Culture, where we used one performative event and we kind of adapted into 24 hours format, which was in front of the building. Yeah, 1 minute. Blah blah blah. It brought like a lot of attention, and actually it like. Also for me personally, but like I think also for the contemporary dance scene, it brought an idea like how strong like the gesture of dance can be and how political it can be. And I think this is something what we have, the power in contemporary dance, or in dance, like working with the body, exposing the body, and bringing important questions. I'm not even watching the time now, so yeah, I'm going to the end. So there are like demands which we were demanding, like with the protest. Basically, those are the demands with every protest. It didn't happen. Nothing of this. Destruction went on and still continues. Very, very positive. It's Otvorená kultúra, which is like an NGO organization, which is now an umbrella basically for the unification of the whole cultural scene, which is great. So there are like 200 organizations and institutions, so like NGOs, but also like some institutions, and almost 2,000 cultural workers. They do. I'm saying they. I mean, it's us, all of us, but they, because it's always like a few people in a board, in a head, who are like taking a stafeta. Sorry. Yeah, I like this noise, but you know what I mean. Thank you very much. And like what is very, very positive, it's the is the declaration which came up with, which happened in the international conference in May 2024, and also now what is very, very new, it's cultural recovery resilience plan. So the organization is already thinking like, okay, this will end one day, and we need a plan. What we will do, how we will start, and what is important, like to be ready for. So now also like the experts and specialists they brought together this plan, and I can hear like tick-tock. So I don't know like how to wrap it the whole thing, but I was just thinking that it was interesting to listen to the first panel discussion the first day here about the Baltic Dance Platform and about the like an identity and like what is it and how we are similar or we are not and so on. But what is like for me like the most positive message is that we need to connect. That we need to connect because the same thing is happening like across. Again, we know where the wind is blowing from, and I think this is like the most important thing, like the highest priority, because I think there is like a lot of competition in art, of course, no, because we all want to get a budget for ourselves, for our work, and so on. But now this is not important. Now what is important is like connect and act actually together. So this is the last protest which was in Bratislava. So good luck for Saturday. I won't be here anymore. There came like 10,000 people, and it was really, really supportive, and it was visible, and it's something which is bringing like a positive message, and yeah, some references where you can find an information about what I was saying about. Yeah. And Slava Ukraina. I need to say something to Viktor before.
So thank you, Juraj, because I'm really horrible at time management. So those are references, and you can do Q&A session there. So yeah, so we're moving to thank you, Juraj. Oh, thank you. Now I want to invite third presenter. It's my dear colleague, Anastasia Kukutas from Greece.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank everyone for the advocacy they're doing in those difficult times. I really, really appreciate it. Just to inform you, I come from a different background. I'm based in Athens. I work as a dramaturg, writer, researcher. So the context is a bit different, even though there are structural similarities. Because I'm a writer, I have written down my presentation. What happens to history when there is no longer evidence to build upon our narratives? In a project titled Terry Stories, I began to explore the traces of the dance community in Athens from 2005 till 2020. These traces, which had remained opaque or hardly visible, but nevertheless were alive and persistent in testimonies, reformulated and reanimated the city, evidencing moments of horizontal solidarity, of survival practices and resistance. Together with a young choreographer and an architect, we started drawing maps and itineraries in the city, showcasing the nomadism of the dance community. It soon became obvious that maps map onto reality. It is a peculiar way through which we come to know reality in many circumstances. Sometimes the spaces dance community once inhabited were no longer there. Instead, a parking lot or a supermarket stood in their place. Thus, I began to question the accuracy of mapping and cartography as representation devices to arrive at the following question. So what happens to history when there is no longer evidence to build upon our narratives? The maps we started to draw reclaimed the rhizomatic presence of the community in the city. We have been here for some time, even though our traces may not be easily detectable. Maps became multivocal, but also are accounts of them. Maps are products of history and contribute to the construction of particular histories. But maps are of the moment. They are transitory and fleeting. They relate to certain practices, and most definitely they emerge in context. In that sense, we began to think of ways in which maps can be used to empower different people and serve the interests of the dance community. We constantly hear about the desiccation of the independent dance scene, the struggles of precarious artists and cultural workers, the chasing of our own tails in neoliberal capitalist conditions that make work unsustainable or even unpleasant. The current condition serves at disempowering people of the dance community, emphasizing their feeling of underachievement. So I'm just moving a bit further. I like to consider dramaturgy as a tool with which we create context together with other collaborators, exploring various ways of approaching creatively choreographic problems. However, the context sometimes demands to deviate from the work itself, to focus more intensely on how the work responds to the outside, or examine radically what the work speaks of but remains unnoticed. Responding thus to a call to reorientate, to allow yourself to imagine where you're heading to keep up with others and make sure you're on the same page. The above tactics don't always create a solid method. Actually, most of the times, given the precarious working conditions, working with means being attentive to your co-workers, receiving signals of something not yet articulated, becoming a good listener, because listening forms a kind of situational awareness. To listen to other bodies, but also to listen to your own body, confirming what Brandon LaBelle suggests, bodies are histories in themselves. When we create the space for other bodies, we are to articulate their own histories. We agree to undertake the work of listening, of witnessing, of attending to others. Listening in this case is not just receiving a spoken story, participating in an argument, being simply heard. We become good listeners because we learn from and with our bodies, rhythms and languages and movements and gestures, and ultimately realize that dancing is a matter of tuning, risking to take a step together. However, we need to remind ourselves, as Donna Haraway urges us, not to fall victim to the temptation of always reconfiguring the world. Good practices need clear and safe context, and context always also make clear that there are limits, which could define the effort invested, the rest needed, the help provided, a reminder that making with and working with is never strictly about individual practices and extraordinary talents, but more often about a shared group intelligence with which we learn to improve our own skills and with it improve also the experience of others. To elaborate my position, To elaborate my position, I draw from my working experience with the artistic duo Aris and Martha, formed by Aris Papadopoulos and Martha Pasakopoulou. This is again only a proposition in order to discuss some aspects of dramaturgy as a group mind. I have been a permanent collaborator with the duo since 2018. Our roles alternate and cross, from writing together proposals to finding locations that could accommodate the specificity of the project, to me assisting in rehearsals, to us organizing archival material as a score with which to perform. The context molds the kind of work and tasks that are distributed between us, but also affects how we split the budget and talk about sensitive issues like artistic fees. Even though one could say that scarcity of funding results to the intensification of our thinking together, thus further commodifying our relations within the existing working conditions, I could also suggest that what we have nurtured in the context of our collaboration is a kind of immunization. In this case, intended beyond the protection of the self as a mere individual responsibility, often conceived and propagated in neoliberal realities. Instead, community is understood between us as a practice of commoning, of survivance and interdependency, of what Isabel Lori names, quoting Roberto Esposito, the contagion of the common. So going a bit into theory, I'm sorry. So there are two proposed readings of this immunization. First, the suffix in the word community, just to be reminded, newness could be translated as both debt and gift within a given group of people. As you read in the slide, there are two readings of this immunization. So just going there to skip a little bit of reading. The one that insists on the risk of contagion by increasing control and surveillance, thus making precariousness and existential conditions for sovereignty, and the other more towards accepting precariousness as a common suffering, thus a commonness that is suggested as pharmacon, as a medicine, let's say, which takes vulnerability as given and develops instead contexts of care. But could this precarity and instability that is often voiced as lamentation by workers in the independent dance field be a voice for something else? During a rehearsal break from All That Matter or Notes on Performing Friendship with Aris and Martha, a rather unfortunate incident took place. Aris tore his Achilles tendon, which meant that we either had to find a substitute for his part, it was a duo performed by both Aris and Martha, or wait till Aris could recover from his injury, with the risk though that him performing so soon after surgery might not only be ill-considered but also extremely dangerous. Aris's recovery became a common suffering, not simply because he could not be in the show, but rather because his injury exposed us to and reminded us of a shared vulnerability, a common situation we would have to overcome together, both in practical terms, what do we do with the cancelled performance, and dramaturgical, how do we perform this state of suffering and healing together. As the shared vulnerability permeated our way of communicating, showing us what the work was bearing witness to but could not yet clearly speak of, we developed a language with which the work was processed and evaluated, entering what Jane Camilla Leister describes as a forest of words. Between a dance and a poem is a crevasse. From one side to the other, small leaves sail in the wind. What can be thought through dancing? What can be made possible to dance through thinking? What can be thought through writing? What can be made possible to dance through the written? What can be written through dancing? Not only then dance as a metaphor for thought, as Alain Badiou would imply, but also dancing a thought, negotiating the ways it is embodied, practiced with others, explored through different bodies. It is a vital reorientation because it focuses on how we could listen somatically, as Labelle suggests, reclaiming something of the body beyond its visible surface, stored in muscle memory, accessed through attentive listening, attesting dearly to our interconnectedness. This aspect of listening to and with, and dancing with, is not only a form of witnessing that makes recovery possible, but also a call to our responsibility, with the word hyphened on purpose, allowing us to focus on its double meaning. Our ability to respond on the one side, and on the other, the responsiveness of our own bodies, which also imply, in corporeal terms, things we could not name yet. In fact, Aris's injury as an unlikely gift indebted us with the task to explore how to also move with words, giving shape to something that would only be recognizable after the performance, for I agree with Leicester, who believes that dancing is concretizing beyond the recognizable. If language is something we have in common, it is a model for unthinking and doing, just as movement is, under what circumstances words can be perceived poetically and exchanged as gifts. Poetically not because of the words used, but because of the attention created, allowing a deeper unlearning and relearning of the words. Changing the language of what we do will change what we do, Leicester carefully claims, inspiring us to listen otherwise. Listen to all the times we have been in the studio. Listen to our panting hearts. Listen to our footsteps and our bouncing. Listen to the breaking of silences and the silences in between rehearsals. Listen to what you bring in, your worries, your defeats, your moment of joy. Listen to the injuries, the pain, and the healing, of course. With which words do you bring your body forward? Which words resonate with your condition? I know the examples given and the words on paper won't change the harsh reality, not in a day at least. But very often, going to various public demonstrations, I hear people singing and dancing together. When I ask myself, why is that? One possible answer I could come up with is that within the generalized arrhythmia, the call to sing and dance with has something overtly political. It demands our presence and our bodies, our voices, because now it is the time to be urgently heard, seen dancing, create this way a prospect for healing. The faults we seek to redeem are sometimes faults imprinted on our bodies, injuries that speak of pain and suffering, but also of possible common recovery. In order for there to ever be a potential for actual healing, the potential of the body we're now must be recognized. Thank you.
Thank you for Anastasio. Thank you. So you will see him walking around somewhere. Please ask questions, make comments, and dance with him. Thank you. So it's time for the last presentation, and I will invite Fatima, and I will try to read your surname, and you can tell me if I'm successful in it. Esmail Ghorbaninjad. Yeah. So applauses for Fatima.
Hello everyone. At first, I'm so sorry my last name is so long. I all the time have problem with my last name, so my name is actually Fateme Esmail Ghorbani Nejad, but you can call me whatever you want. So I invite you to stand up for a second, to just a little bit move, because I know it's been a long time that you are sitting. So now we can start with a little game. When I say hands up, your hands have to be down. And when I say it, hands down, your hands have to be up. Are you ready? Hands down. Hands up. Hands up. You lost. Hands up. Hands down. Hands up. 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 Hands down. Hands up. Hands down. Hands down. Almost. Thank you. You can see it. So what I wanted to share with you today is mostly like little story and experience that I had. Actually, I'm from Iran, and it's been 6 years now I'm living in Paris. I try to say it as short as I can. So at first I start with the little text that I already wrote. I was born and raised in Iran, where dance is illegal and the body is controlled. Until the age of 21, others tried to decide everything for me: what to wear, where to go, how to go, and who to go with, and even how to look and how to speak. Very early on, I realized I was living a double life, one in public and another one at home. As a 7 years old, I didn't understand politics, but I felt its impact. My parents were often called to the school because I had danced during the rest time or taken my head scarf. That was when my mother began to teach me how to navigate the reality. I learned I could become someone else underground and someone else in the society. At home, I discovered movement. I watched the cartoons and I tried to learn the movement. I turned our home into a stage, and my parents became my first audience. As I grew older, I found underground dance space, places that called themselves theater to survive. I can't define what we were doing it. It was contemporary or ballet or anything else, but I know it's become a window for me. I spent hours there. We danced, but we also learned how to skip, how to run. When someone rings the door, we would quickly pretend it was a theater class. Dancers who had trained abroad came back to Iran and they shared their knowledge. We passed on each other, but really soon they start to arrest the dancers. People around me, they disappeared. Under in a sub-page was written, closed because they didn't follow the Islamic rules. That was the time I decided to leave. Not because I wanted to, because I needed to dance. I wanted to fight. I knew I might never return, but I danced. I needed to dance. I wanted to dance for my family. For my father, he is a painter. For my mother, she was never able to move. And even for my brother, that he is a young person now in Iran. When I arrived in France, I realized maybe for the first time how much my body was shaped. So when I arrived in France, I started to see because I accepted in a dance school and I got a scholarship to study dance in France. I went to my first dance class and I realized my body is really tense. And each time when someone was closing the door of the studio, I was scared and I was, oh shit, now the police are coming to arrest me. And when I was walking in the street, I was all the time, because we needed to wear hijab in Iran. And everywhere in the street in Iran, you can see some police that they are checking to see how you wear. And if your hijab is not well, then you have to go to the prison. And then most of the time, we don't know what is happening. So for a while, I was even walking in Paris, and I was all the time putting my arms like that, and I was trying to make sure that I have my jackets well wear, and I was even sometimes like feeling mad. My scarf is falling down, and it was in my body that I wanted to put again the scarf, even like those basic stuff. So then I started to dance, and it was a time I was like, oh wow, now I can find who I am. And I can not forget the first time, for the first time in my life, I went to the sea and I was able to wear a maillot and just lie on the water. I was suspended and I was like, okay, now I can find who I am. So I started to work on myself. It was a really long journey. I started to dance, and at the same time I was like, okay, now I'm here because I want to fight. So how can I because dance is not existing there right now. So how can I be like connecting France and Europe to Iran and my country? So I started to helping people to apply for a dance school from into Iran to come here, or like teaching them online dance classes, which even now this one even is difficult because they just cut the internet. So it's been around more than 3 months. I don't have a kind of any news from my family. Just sometimes they just text me. But it was why I started dancing, not because for myself, it was for people, for human. And during those days when I see everyone they are talking, I'm just wondering why, if we put the politic parts of the sponsorship and everything in corner, why we are dancing? We are dancing for ourselves. People in Iran, I see, they don't have any dance school, they don't have anything, but still they are dancing. And they dance for themselves. And sometimes, like, our body is the first thing we are connecting with the world. And I feel like we don't use our body as we have to use it. So during those process, I understood there is a things called dance therapy, and I started a master of dance therapy to at first understand how it's helped me dance, not in a conscious way, to understand what is dance, how dance helped me to heal, and now how can I use this dance to help other people. So now I'm in the 2nd year of dance therapy. I work with a lot of immigration people for dancing. I dance for Olympic team, for refugee team. But my fight is, and my dance is just connect to people. And I'm so sorry, it's just so emotional. It's just for people and for being present. And now I wanted to mention something. It's not really long time ago, people in Iran, just for their basics, like moving to what they want, they start to protest. And in 3 days, the governments of my country, they killed 4,000 people. I'm not mentioning how they killed them, because it's like really traumatizing, but I will invite you to watch a movie, a little short movie, that people in Iran, when the family, when they lost their child, when they lost their families or their friends, they start to dance for the grief ceremony. So after that, I invite you for a little dance workshop to go on the 2nd floor and experience a little bit of dance therapy together. Thank you.
Mothers holding the photos of their children, fathers lost in a heavy, unspoken silence, homes where laughter has been abruptly erased. This is not from some distant past. It was just 2 months ago, in January, when there was no war, no missiles, when the only crime was the demand for freedom. Tens of thousands, children, young people, the elderly, came to the streets, not with weapons, but with their voices, and they were answered with live bullets. These images are not just mourning. This is the pain of a people. And yet, among the tears, there is something that stops the world. Dance. This is a dance of mourning. Some of these families, in the depths of their grief, begin to dance. Not out of joy, but from a wound too deep for words. A dance that rises from breaking, from the place where tears are no longer enough, where the body itself becomes a language. In this dance, hands tell stories, steps cry out, and every movement keeps a name alive. It is resistance. It is a message to the world. We are still standing, even with broken hearts. This dance turns grief into voice and pain into memory. And these images remind us, behind every number, there was a life, a love, an entire world. We will not forget these images, and we will not forget them.
I wanted to say is like woman life freedom, which means Zendegi Azadi. Thank you.
So we are now inviting you to join Fatima in her workshop. My colleague Victoria, she is now with her hand held high. She will escort you to second floor. Please follow.